Hello. Today I will tell you about alien species that humans accidentally or intentionally carried around the world. And the notable thing lies here. The level of damage that each species causes to the environment, the ecosystem, and even humans will become increasingly severe if you watch until the end of the video. And I'll start with the first creature. The web of devastation, fall webworm. Opening this list, we come to a creature that, at a mere glance, perhaps no one would think is dangerous. That is the fall webworm, the larva of a white moth species with a fragile appearance, almost harmless. But the problem lies here. The beauty of the moth is only the surface, while the real disaster lies in the next generation. One female moth can lay up to 1,900 eggs in its short lifespan. It doesn't stop there. Every year, this species can reproduce up to 3 consecutive generations. It might not sound scary yet, but if left unchecked, after just 1 year from a few initial individuals, the number of larvae can increase to hundreds of millions of individuals. And then they are no longer just insects, they become a flood. The fall webworm doesn't eat leaf by leaf. They eat in swarms, spinning dense webs that cover the entire canopy, and then devouring everything green inside it. An ancient tree that took decades to grow can be completely stripped bare in just 2 to 3 days. When the leaves disappear, photosynthesis stops, and the death of the tree is only a matter of time. The most terrifying thing about the fall webworm does not lie in venom or size, but lies in speed and numbers. They don't kill individual beings, they collapse an entire ecosystem. And that is why in many areas of North America and Europe, the fall webworm is no longer considered an insect but is classified straight into the group of dangerous biological pests. If the fall webworm is a disaster born of numbers, then the next creature on this list destroys in silence.
The invisible rot, codling moth. The codling moth is the larva of a very small moth species. Its adult body length is only about 8 millimeters. To the naked eye, they are almost unnoticeable. But precisely because they are tiny, they are extremely hard to detect. Unlike many leaf-eating insects from the outside, the codling larva bores straight into the apple right from when the fruit is young. They don't destroy the outer skin or leave clear signs. The apple still grows, still has a beautiful shape, but the inside has been hollowed out. Bacteria invade, the fruit begins to rot from the inside, and then falls to the ground before it can ripen. In many apple orchards, the damage rate caused by the codling can reach over 50%, and in years of severe outbreaks, this number can touch the 100% mark. The notable thing is that farmers usually only realize the problem when it's too late. By then, it's not one apple, not one tree, but the entire harvest has been destroyed from the inside. The very existence of the codling moth has forced the apple farming industry worldwide to rely heavily on pesticides. And when chemicals become the only line of defense, the subsequent consequences are not just soaring costs, but also toxic residues in agricultural produce, directly affecting human health. This is no longer the story of a single insect, but the price to pay for an uneven war between nature and modern agriculture. If the codling moth is a destroyer from within, silent and hard to detect, then the next creature was hand-delivered by humans. The swarm of fire, red imported fire ant. The red imported fire ant is considered one of the most dangerous ant species in the world. At a glance, they are tiny, ordinary, and not scary at all. But the problem with the red imported fire ant does not lie in individual ants. It lies in the whole colony. They attack with overwhelming numbers. When disturbed, hundreds, thousands of ants will rush up at once and inject venom into the target. The sting of the red imported fire ant causes a burning sensation like fire. For people with severe allergies, just a few stings can lead to anaphylactic shock and death. But humans are not the biggest victims yet. The red imported fire ant destroys plant roots, kills beneficial insects, and drives away or kills weaker native species. They not only destroy the ecology, but also destroy human infrastructure. There are places where they chew through underground electrical wires, damage irrigation systems, causing short circuits, fires, explosions, and economic damages up to hundreds of millions of dollars each year. The notable thing is that the red imported fire ant is not a native species. They hitchhiked on cargo ships, containers, and global trade routes to spread all over the world. Once again, humans are the vehicle transporting disaster. If the red imported fire ant shows that numbers can turn a tiny creature into a disaster, then the next species proves one thing: not every creature that is helpful to humans should exist in nature. The swarm of fire, Red imported fire ant. The red imported fire ant is considered one of the most dangerous ant species in the world. At a glance, they are tiny, ordinary, and not scary at all. But the problem with the red imported fire ant does not lie in individual ants, it lies in the whole colony. They attack with overwhelming numbers. When disturbed, hundreds, thousands of ants will rush up at once and inject venom into the target. The sting of the red imported fire ant causes a burning sensation like fire. For people with severe allergies, just a few stings can lead to anaphylactic shock and death. But humans are not the biggest victims yet. The red imported fire ant destroys plant roots, kills beneficial insects, and drives away or kills weaker native species. They not only destroy the ecology, but also destroy human infrastructure. There are places where they chew through underground electrical wires, damage irrigation systems, causing short circuits, fires, explosions, and economic damages up to hundreds of millions of dollars each year. The notable thing is that the red imported fire ant is not a native species. They hitchhiked on cargo ships, containers, and global trade routes to spread all over the world. Once again, humans are the vehicle transporting disaster. If the red imported fire ant shows that numbers can turn a tiny creature into a disaster, then the next species proves one thing: not every creature that is helpful to humans should exist in nature.
The silent extractor, suckermouth catfish. This fish originated from South America and was once kept by humans for a very harmless purpose: cleaning aquariums. With a mouth that sticks like a living vacuum cleaner, they can scrape off moss, algae, and dirt on any submerged surface. At a glance, this seems to be a diligent creature, gentle and completely harmless. But the problem is nature is not an aquarium. When the suckermouth catfish is released into natural rivers, lakes, and canals, they don't just eat moss. They eat fish eggs, fry, and even young, weak creatures before they can grow up. Silently, noiselessly, without frontal attack, the suckermouth catfish drains the future of an entire ecosystem. The scariest thing lies in its reproductive capability. Their egg hatching rate is nearly 100%, yet they have no natural predators. The consequence is that after just a few years, a river once full of native fish can turn into the private domain of the suckermouth catfish. Not because they are strong, but because they are too good at surviving. If the suckermouth catfish shows that a creature can ruin an aquatic ecosystem just by reproducing too efficiently, then the next species does the same thing on land, but in a slower and much harder to control way.
The urban nightmare, Asian tiger mosquito. The Asian tiger mosquito is one of the most dangerous alien creatures that humans themselves accidentally help spread. The Asian tiger mosquito has an extremely small body, only a few millimeters long, with seemingly harmless black and white stripes. At a glance, it looks no different from a normal mosquito, but the danger of the Asian tiger mosquito does not lie in its size, but in what it carries. It is a vector for dengue fever, Zika, chikungunya, names enough to make the entire healthcare system stretch itself to cope. The scariest thing of all is its almost perfect adaptability to urban environments. No need for lakes, no need for swamps, just a puddle in a bottle cap, an ornamental plant pot, or a forgotten small drainage ditch. Mosquito eggs can lie there for months, enduring drought and heat, waiting for the exact moment to hatch simultaneously after a rain. Unlike many other mosquito species that only operate at night, the Asian tiger mosquito attacks even during the day. It deprives humans of the only time that was once considered safe. From Asia, this mosquito has silently followed humans, spreading to Europe, the Americas, and many other parts of the world. And just a creature the size of a toothpick head is enough to paralyze an entire city, push the healthcare system into overload, and turn modern urban areas into invisible battlegrounds. If the Asian tiger mosquito shows that sometimes the most dangerous threat comes from small things that humans are too familiar with, then the next species is even scarier in one aspect. It can choke an entire river. The river choker, water hyacinth. The water hyacinth is an aquatic plant species originating from Brazil, introduced out of its native environment in the early 20th century. Initially, people planted it for its beautiful flowers, thinking it was just a harmless ornamental plant. But then, in just a short time, the water hyacinth started multiplying at an unimaginable speed. A small cluster can double in just a few weeks, and when the number crosses the control threshold, They form giant green mats covering the entire river and lake surface. Light cannot penetrate down into the water. Dissolved oxygen drops sharply, and the fish, shrimp, and plankton below start dying off. Not because of being eaten, but because there is no environment left to breathe. But the consequences don't stop there. The dense water hyacinth mats completely block waterway traffic, making boats unable to move. They cling to drains, dams, and canals, destroy irrigation works, and cause widespread flooding. Even the large leaf surface of the water hyacinth makes the water evaporation rate skyrocket, causing a massive loss of water in areas already scarce. In other words, the water hyacinth does not kill the ecosystem with teeth or claws, but with silent expansion. If the water hyacinth is an example of a plant that can choke an entire river, then the next species goes one step further. It wipes out an entire flora.
The golden dictator, goldenrod. This is a plant with vibrant yellow flowers, looking like nothing more than a harmless wildflower by the roadside. But actually, this is a true dictator in the plant world. This plant originated from North America and began to invade many different regions from around the 1930s. The problem is that each goldenrod plant can produce over 20,000 seeds in one season. These seeds are small, light, and dispersed very far by the wind, meaning just from an initial cluster of plants, after just a few years, an entire large area can be completely dyed yellow. But numbers are not the scariest thing. Below the ground, the goldenrod possesses an extremely deep root system that can plunge down 2 to 3 meters. And during its growth process, it secretes special chemicals that have the effect of inhibiting the development of other surrounding plants. Simply put, it poisons the soil so that only it can live. What is the result? In Shanghai, the expansion of the goldenrod has directly caused more than 30 native plant species to disappear completely. Not because of being cut down, not because of climate change, but because there is no room left to exist. If the goldenrod is the type of invader that overwhelms with numbers and space, then the next creature kills from the inside.
The invisible executioner, pinewood nematode. A creature so small, it's even smaller than a strand of hair, and completely invisible to the naked eye. But actually, this is exactly the most dangerous destroyer in this entire list. The nematode itself cannot move far on its own. They need an intermediate vehicle, and that is the pine sawyer beetle. When the sawyer beetle bores into the tree bark to reproduce, the nematode will follow that wound to penetrate straight into the vascular system inside the pine tree. Here, everything starts to collapse. They reproduce at an extremely fast rate while simultaneously secreting toxins that clog the tree's water conduction system. Simply put, the pine tree dies of thirst right within its own body. From the outside, the tree still stands there with intact trunk and branches, but after just 2 to 3 months, the entire tree will wither and die completely. No need to cut, no need to burn, no need for visible pests. It's just hollow inside for a long time. To date, tens of millions of pine trees have been destroyed by the pinewood nematode worldwide. Damage to the forestry industry is estimated to be up to thousands of billions of dong. And the scariest thing lies in the fact that when a pine tree is discovered to be infected with the nematode, it is already too late to save it. If the pinewood nematode is a type of creature so small that humans cannot realize it in time, then the next creature does not appear right before our eyes, but we are the ones who hand-delivered it.
The biological disaster, golden apple snail. The golden apple snail, a snail that at a glance seems gentle, slow, even cute, but actually, this is one of the biggest biological disasters ever to happen in Asian agriculture. In the 1980s, the golden apple snail was imported with a very simple purpose: for food. It was believed that this would be a cheap source of protein, easy to raise, and easy to harvest. And then just one small negligence, the snails escaped into the natural environment. From that moment, everything got out of control. A female snail can lay tens of thousands of eggs every year. The bright pink egg clusters cling all over the field banks and canals. The hatched young snails attack newly transplanted rice, eating young shoots bare in just one night. A field that was green the morning before, by the next morning only has bare stubble left. But destroying crops is only a part of the story. The scarier thing lies elsewhere. The golden apple snail is recorded as an intermediate host for thousands of types of parasites, including ones that cause meningitis and nerve damage in humans. If not processed at extremely high temperatures,
Eating the golden apple snail can leave severe consequences, even death. And so, from a creature brought back by humans to farm, the golden apple snail became the eternal enemy of the rice fields. If the golden apple snail is an example of a creature that is slow but destroys by numbers, then the next creature is called by a name that sends chills down the spine just hearing it.
The mile-a-minute weed, Mecania. The mile-a-minute weed, Mecania vine. This is a plant native to South America that can grow up to 20 centimeters a day. It might not sound like much, but the problem is it doesn't just grow up. It crawls, it climbs, it twines, and it is not picky. From small shrubs to wooden trees over 10 meters tall, all can become victims. Mecania covers the canopy, completely blocking the light, slowly suffocating the host tree. No need for toxins, no need for corrosion, just cover and wait. In areas like Guangdong or Yunnan, China, forests swallowed by Mecania in just a few rainy seasons have been recorded. Annual damages amount to billions of dong. But the scariest thing is not the numbers, but the fact that this vine is extremely difficult to completely eradicate. Cut the top and it grows back from the roots. Burn it and the seeds remain in the soil. Spray pesticides and the surviving patches continue to spread. And so, just like the golden apple snail, Mecania becomes a very clear reminder. Not everything that is green and grows fast is a sign of healthy life. If Mecania is a type of invader that attacks from the outside, crawls up, twines tightly, and suffocates its opponent, then the next creature chooses a more silent way. Just stand there and drain everything around it.
The vampire weed, Parthenium. The Parthenium plant is a plant native to Mexico, often likened to the vampire of vegetation, not because of its shape, but because of the way it lives. The root system of the Parthenium plant clings deep and spreads wide, continuously draining nutrients in the soil, making the surrounding plants gradually waste away. They don't die immediately, don't wilt suddenly, but weaken little by little until there is no chance of recovery. But the scariest thing does not stop there. The Parthenium plant is poisonous. If livestock accidentally eat it, they won't die immediately. Instead, they develop chronic lung disease. Their lungs gradually fibrose. Breathing becomes increasingly difficult, and then they die in a prolonged, painful process. Precisely because of this, in many livestock farming areas, just the appearance of this plant makes locals consider it a biological disaster. But just like Mecania, eradicating the Parthenium plant is an incredibly difficult problem. Cut the stem and the roots remain. Dig up the roots and the seeds have already dispersed. Spray pesticides and the soil is damaged, yet this plant still lives. And so, nature once again reminds us, a dangerous invader doesn't necessarily have to be loud, fierce, or scary. Sometimes the thing that kills an entire ecosystem is just a plant standing there and draining everything around it. If the Parthenium plant is an invader that drains from below, killing the environment silently, then the next creature here appears and eats everything clean.
The toxic apex, alligator gar. The alligator gar is a giant fish native to North America, with a head exactly like a crocodile and the body of an ancient hunting machine. An adult individual can be up to 3 meters long and weigh over 150 kilograms. But size is not the scariest thing yet. What puts this fish on the danger list is exactly how it exists in the ecosystem. The alligator gar is a non-selective predator. Small fish, frogs, turtles, water birds, whatever gets into its mouth has no second chance. When appearing in a closed pond or lake, they quickly turn that place into a body of water that is empty. But the more horrifying thing lies in something few people notice. Their eggs are highly toxic. Any creature that accidentally eats alligator gar eggs is at risk of death. In other words, even before it has time to grow, this fish can already kill the surrounding environment. And the saddest thing is, the alligator gar did not invade on its own. They were carried away by humans, kept as ornamental fish when small, gotten bored of, and the familiar script is being released. And then just one act of releasing it back to nature, a peaceful lake can turn into a biological dead land. If the alligator gar is an invader that eats a lake clean, leaving behind a cold emptiness, then the last creature on today's list chooses to devastate on the scale of an entire region. The tireless army, fall armyworm. The fall armyworm, the name might sound gentle, but in reality, it is likened to a tireless army. They particularly favor what is most important to humans: corn, rice, and staple food crops. A female moth can lay thousands of eggs, and when those eggs hatch at the same time, they don't crawl sporadically. They swarm in just a few days. An entire lush field can be chewed bare as if it never existed. What makes the fall armyworm a real nightmare is not just numbers, but its extremely high resistance to pesticides. Measures that used to be effective with normal pests are almost useless against this species. In the year 2018, when the fall armyworm broke out in Africa, estimated damages reached over $3 billion. And then, exactly as invasive species always do, they didn't stop there. In just a short time, the fall armyworm has appeared in many other countries around the world. No need to kill humans directly, no need for venom, no need for claws, just destroying what feeds humans. Sometimes the most effective way of destruction is not attacking lives, but cutting off the source of life.
And those are the most dangerous invasive alien creatures that I have just reviewed in the video. Remember to hit like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the latest content. Thank you guys for watching the whole video, and for now, goodbye.